Hello, Facebookers. I'm back to talk to you about the heart and why living from the heart has many benefits. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me yet, because there might be some, I'm Gail and I work as a soul coach or a soul alignment strategist, I like to call it, because I like to help you navigate the tricky parts of self, the parts of self that we maybe don't really understand. Hello, Francesca. And to align them, right? I run a 12-week soul alignment course where I help you to really navigate all these tricky pieces of self, the ego, the inner critic, which is an inner parent that tries to drive us through life. Okay? Light seems really dull in here. I don't know why. Sorry, so I'll just wait for somebody to come on. Hello, Patrick. Hello, Christine. Thanks for joining. So, are you a person who has trouble sometimes activating your heart? Are you a person who has trouble sometimes staying in your heart? Are you a person who at times can't even feel what your heart is saying? Or actually, sometimes you might be a person who has a heart that is exploding and yet you're still kind of avoiding whatever it says, right? If you're not that kind of person, then you either have lived in a monastery for many years or you're not human, because I believe we all have heart issues because we don't live in society that promotes the heart. We don't live in a society that promotes soul connection. We live in a society that promotes ego, really. When you look at the world, you look at TV, what's it promoting? Oh, what we should wear, how we should look, what size we should be, what kind of relationship we should have, our sexuality, everything comes into it. We're programmed heavily programmed. So I really want to talk today about encouraging you to release the programming, because that's what I do, and get back into a heart space. But the main message today is really about why the heart is so unbelievably important for your own growth. Not just for the world and spreading love in the world, but actually for your own growth. If you are not connected to your heart space, if you're not connected to like an embodied loving version of you, if you don't even know what that is, then you're going to be living life at a deficit. I don't know if some of you have heard of the Heart Math Institute, where they did studies on the heart. That's what they focus on. They study the heart and they show how much energy the heart actually has. And it's much bigger than the energy that our mind emits. It's much bigger and wider. It spreads all around us. The heart is the thing that can tap into other people. As an empath, I'm telling you now that without my heart space, without my heart being so connected and open, I wouldn't be able to feel into my clients, feel into what's going on, and I wouldn't be able to see their potential and their ultimate truth. I wouldn't be able to do that. Okay? Hello, Sarah. Hello, Keith. Hi, John. We need to sort out our chats. Yeah, let's do that. I'll message you back in a minute. But yeah, so the heart is a tricky place to be in when our inner child is activated, when our inner child is, frightened of something. It could be going for some kind of position you want at work. It could be trying to fill a long life dream. I did a watch party on an interview that I did with one of my Align clients, Stefano. He kind of had a fear of stepping forward into, his acting career. He had this desire, and he's directed and he's been an actor, but he had this desire that was squashed because that was coming from his soul and his heart was asking him to do it. Go and do it, go and pursue. But what ended up happening was he had such a strong inner critic, which, the inner parent, that was driving him in a completely different way. So I urge you to watch that, because his story is really one of being completely blocked and cut off from his heart and his guidance, cut off from his intuition and switching back on. And so it meant that everything was tricky in his life, and he always felt angry. Because when your heart is switched off, what happens is your mind is left to decipher the fear. There's no compassion in the middle, right? All of our information is generated in the body, in the gut, right? All of our feeling information is generally generated there. There are other little bits, like you can have, toxic emotional memories are stored in different parts of the body, shoulders, elbows, knees, feet, right? They can be stored anywhere, but generally the information that's being sent is usually a gut-based level. And that information is sent up through the body to your mind for you to then use your masculine energy and take some action on it, right? Or to use your loving feminine energy. Not that masculine isn't loving, by the way. It's just different. It's usually the masculine energy is a little bit more, that's the one that really wants to set boundaries. It wants to take action on a desire that you have, even if you're frightened. It's very present with you. And the feminine energy is a little bit more, it's like the archetypal mother, let's say, right? We all have an archetypal mother and father that are sort of an imprint that we always kind of, wish we had, which is really stupid. It's a bit like a Disney film, because people are people, humans are humans, and mums and dads aren't going to get it right all the time. But we have this kind of archetypal thing that we can use when we're in tricky situations, and we can pull that in and start to really cultivate compassion in the middle, right? In your heart. So when this fear comes up, when you have any fear come up in a situation, that it travels through the heart and to your mind, not just shut your heart off and bypass it, because then you're left with your inner child freaking out. And the only adult that it has to go to, the only thing that might help is the mind. So the body sends all this information to the mind, and the mind goes, oh, we need to do something about what we do. I can't feel my heart. I can't feel anything. I can't feel my gut. I can only feel the fear in my gut. I can't feel any intuition. And so we then work from a mind-based place, and we usually make lots of mistakes in that place. Lots of mistakes. And we usually re-wound ourselves and cause lots of pain. We go into drama. We start to catastrophize. We start to not believe in ourselves. The critic in our mind, our inner critical parent, starts telling us we can't do things. And it's all a recipe for unconsciousness to take over our lives. And if you're watching me, I know you don't want that. No one wants that. But if you're a person who is ready to up level, if you're a person who's doing lots of spiritual soul work on yourself, and you have done for a long time, you're probably very tired of that. So how can we get to a point in our lives where we don't feel the need to shut our heart off every single time something happens in our world that we feel we are frightened of, or that we can't handle, that we're scared of? What can we do? Well, my answer to this is a few things, but the main thing is to understand that we need to cultivate compassion. We need to cultivate compassion. We need to cultivate a soul voice that is so deep and intrinsic within us that we're not looking outside of us to see who's at fault. We're not blaming the world. We're not blaming God. We're not blaming the universe. We're not blaming ourselves. We're just accepting that life is giving us something. So the first thing really is the acceptance of whatever is happening at the moment, right? Accept whatever is happening. And I also mean accept the emotion that's coming through your body. Accept the emotion that's coming through. Feel the feeling instead of trying to squash the fear. Feel the feeling. Ask what it's trying to tell you rather than becoming your inner child. Now that's going to take practice. That's really going to take practice. That's not going to happen overnight. But you have to be willing to feel the feeling, because the moment you feel something that's uncomfortable, you don't like it, you squash it, then your heart goes offline. You have no access. All you can then hear is the feeling screaming at you underneath. But you're not doing anything about it, so you leave your mind and your ego to take control. Your ego will want to start protecting you. It will tell you, combination of inner critic and ego telling you what you should do. It's nasty. It's very nasty, right? So what we want to do is to listen to the feeling and start to honor it and to treat it like Matt Kahn would say, which is like, treat everyone like a 5-year-old child. Right? The first time I heard him say that, it's like, oh, it's the first person that thinks like me, right? That I felt that about. I at that time I wasn't doing talks on this stuff, but I heard him say it and I was like, yes, this is what we need to do. We need to treat others and ourselves like we are frightened children, that something is going on inside. And so we need to then, secondly, cultivate compassion, a compassionate voice. So first we have to feel the feeling. And secondly, we have to start talking to ourselves in a way that is compassionate and caring, yet action taking. It can't just be the archetypal smother mother, right? Who is like constantly making you food and asking if you wash behind your ears or whatever, right? The smother mother, I like that. And it can't be the archetypal father who is sort of there, but maybe isn't totally emotionally present, right? Because we still have that a little bit in the archetypes. It has to be a combined effort. It has to be an archetypal mother that is compassionate and caring, but you need the archetypal divine masculine element, which is, I've got your back, but you need to do something about this. I'm going to be here and be present with you, this inner child, but we're going to take some action on this, right? Usually the action, which is number 3, is speaking your truth. It's actually speaking the fear, right? So the first thing is feel the fear. The second thing is developing that voice that talks to you before you take any action, but makes you take action. And the third thing is then you have to speak the fear. You have to speak the fear. If you bypass the heart, if you bypass the compassion and the soul voice connection, when you speak, your fear will speak and it will reek. There you go, rhyming again. Your fear will speak and it will stink. It will be a mess. It will be painful. It will be wounding. It will be like throwing daggers. It will be like vomiting. It will not be aligned. It will be messy. And do you know what happens when we vomit? We need to clear it up afterwards. And sometimes the problems with words is you can't always clean up the words you say afterwards. They're energetic. They leave an imprint. I believe that words are spells that we speak. And when we say them out into the world, we give them energy. You know, that's why I'm always saying this thing about when you make a wish on your birthday, right? Don't keep it to yourself. Don't do that. Speak it out loud and claim it for yourself. It's back to front, right? So claim it for yourself. When you have to speak something that is from a fearful place, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that we need to speak it with compassion for our own inner child and compassion for whatever situation we find ourselves in and compassion for the other person. Now, some of you will be hearing me and going, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's too hard. Well, I'm telling you this, it's much, much harder the other way around. It's much harder the other way around because the lessons keep coming. They keep coming. They keep coming back to you. Let me know if you're understanding what I'm saying. If you're hearing this, if you're feeling this, let me know. Send me some info. If you're on the replay, please send me some info as well. Right? Let me know if something's happening in your world where you realize you switched your heart off and you're not aligned. And maybe you don't even know how to speak with compassion for the situation. Maybe you don't know how to speak with compassion for yourself. Maybe it's that, because I'll tell you this, if you're not speaking with compassion for a situation that you have in your life to another person that maybe you have a situation with, then you are not speaking compassionately to yourself. You are, in that moment, speaking to yourself like a piece of shit. Excuse my French. Right? It's just how it is. When you are a person who has learned to talk to yourself in a loving way, that's when your heart can be open no matter what's happening. You might still close because we're human. You might still close sometimes. I still close sometimes, and I count myself as a person who's very heart-led, right? And very open. But sometimes I'll still close in fear. But then I talk to myself. I listen. I don't hide. I feel the feeling. I listen to what it's telling me. Like a small child. What is it saying to me? Sometimes I even speak the fear. When I'm sitting by myself somewhere, when I'm trying to listen, I speak it so I can hear fully what it says. And then I parent it. And then I take action on it. And it can't be any other way around. Because if you try to go and take action on it from fear and by bypassing the heart, then the heart won't speak. And all that will speak is fear. And you'll be left with a mess that you might not be able to clear up fully. That stuff's like tar, you know? You know, like when they do the roads, so here in the UK anyway, and there's tar on the roads, it's like that. It's all sticky. You might not be able to clear it up. So you're much better to come from a place where the heart is still online. Let's cultivate a soul voice. Let's cultivate a connection where our intuition from our soul comes up through our heart and then speaks from that place, right? John says, when your children reach a certain age, they will bring up deep issues from our past that will mirror present situations. Creating a higher outcome is the ultimate challenge. Well, this is the thing, John. It's maybe a little bit jumping off topic, but it's still important, is when your children come into the world, yes, they do. They teach you a lot. Your children are your teachers, right? They show you yourself. But I really believe that when you do the work on yourself, you change, or you have the possibility of changing your line forwards and backwards, right? Because time doesn't really exist and energy doesn't really care about time. So we need to change ourselves and transform ourselves so that our children have a hope in hell, or I like to say a hope in heaven, of moving forward in life and changing our family lines. So if we can come into a situation where we are more activated in our hearts, even if it doesn't look like it for a time, right? Even if our children ignore us, even if they fight with us, even if they have ego reflections that they have taken on from the family karma, even if they have that, because we are changing, we are then giving them enough energetic inspiration to transform themselves. If we don't do the work on ourselves, we leave them to do the work. And they might choose it and they might not. Just like us, we have no control on that. They might choose it and they might not. The ones who have a much better grasp on it are the ones who have been taught from a much younger age to feel themselves, to honor themselves, you know? Remember the 16-year-old you. What a time. Do you know what's funny, John? When I was 16, I actually was a very old soul anyway. I never really lived the kind of, maybe when I hit about 18, I had a bit of a rebellion, because all children, all teenagers, let's say, have a rebellion, because it's natural to want to rebel against parents. They want to disappear. I wanted to get away. I wanted to be independent. I left home at 17. My independence had been calling me for about a year, and I went to go and study music. And at that time was probably the first time that I ever really felt my anger that had been squashed. I never felt able to be angry. I have to say I'm not really an angry person now. I still get angry because I'm human, but for that year I was like, that anger came out quite intensely in a way for me, let's say. I wasn't going about and beating up people in like breaking car windows or anything, but that happened, right? And probably because I'd been shut off from what my heart was saying, because I didn't know how to navigate it. I didn't have anyone teach me how to navigate emotion. Emotions generally were ignored. So I had to learn. I was just like many other people, you know? I still am. I'm still a human being, but I've just done a lot of work on myself, so I know myself a lot better. But I was always an old soul. I always felt called to, I didn't drink. I never smoked. I never touched drugs. I just had no interest in that. I kind of felt like I almost didn't belong, which a lot of empaths have. So my experience probably is slightly different from some others. But anyway, let me know if that message resonates. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired today, so I feel like I'm not totally on it at the moment, but I wanted to share that message anyhow with you because it's really important. It's so important. And I would like to encourage you to join my 6-day course. So I'm doing a Clear Your Conditioning course for 6 days so you can get to know all about me if you like what I'm talking about. If you don't like what I'm talking about, then don't follow me. But if you do, then follow me because I'll be live streaming more. And you can join my soul circle if you look in Facebook on groups for Your Soul Revealed. You can join my group there. But I will be talking more about clearing your conditioning. And this is one of the steps, right? This is one of the things that you can do to help activate that soul voice. So it's an important share. And if you think of anyone that needs this information, then please share this video. And I will see you again. Enjoy your Sunday. All right, loves? Mwah. Bye.